And welcome back to beautiful Kauffman Stadium. Every team in baseball hopes for a good start, but there are some teams that need to have a good start, like the Royals.
Well, you're right, Ryan, and Aprils are very important now. Even when I played, we didn't have many winning Aprils, and we had to really battle back to make a competitive season, but only 2 winning Aprils in the last 20 years. Then that tells you that if you have a good winning April, then you got a chance to play competitive baseball and possibly finish above 500.
This is a new-look Royals team with plenty of new faces. 4 will be in the starting lineup today. But the main attraction, no doubt, is Zach Greinke making his first opening day start coming off his Cy Young season, facing Justin Verlander. A special treat from the Royals for the national anthem is coming up next. Of Major League Baseball is brought to you by Mitsubishi, and with a sellout crowd on hand, let's go down to the field for the national anthem and David Cook.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
First pitch and to George Brett, and he'll be joining George in Cooperstown as Whitey will be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Zach Greinke taking the mound, and let's go down to the field and join Joel Goldberg.
Guys, I can tell you that the crowd out here in the outfield is absolutely unbelievable. Looking forward to not just opening day, but a great pitching matchup. Hard to believe that Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke never faced each other last year, but they both had amazing seasons. I had a lot of conversations with Verlander throughout. Even though they never faced each other, history was made, and Zach ended up finishing number 2 in strikeouts in the AL. Verlander finished number 1. He was number 3 in the Cy Young, and of course we know that Zach Greinke was the Cy Young Award winner. This, guys, is the best pitching matchup in baseball on opening day.
We agree, Joel, and here's the lineup that Zach will be facing today, brought to you by M&I Bank, and the Tigers have some new faces. Austin Jackson, this will be his Major League debut. Former Royal Johnny Damon is over from the Yankees, then Maglio Ordonez, Miguel Cabrera. Carlos Guillen is the DH, Brandon Inge, Gerald Laird, another rookie making his big league debut, Scott Sizemore at second base, and then the shortstop, Adam Everett. Where do you start with Zach Greinke? Well, we'll start with the Kia scouting report today.
Well, Ryan, the one thing he's got to do today, since his first opening day started, just relax. And you know, the key to pitching is always get ahead. And if you get ahead in the count, you got a chance to get the hitters out. And he's always, as usual, making sliders out pitch, which he did a great job of last year.
Zach 3-1 against the Tigers last year with an ERA of 1. Zach's first pitch misses to Austin Jackson. Zach in his career against the Tigers is 11-5, and this is Austin Jackson's first major league at bat. 1-1.
Now, Ryan, this is a young player that they didn't know coming into spring training whether he could accept that leadoff role, but after his first at bat, they said, well, we think he can do it. I talked to Johnny Damon about him.
Out to David DeJesus, who's making the transition to right. He has to deal with the sun early in the game. 1 away. Here are the Royals defensively, and an outfield of Scott Posednik, Rick Ankiel, and David DeJesus. Willie Bloomquist at third today with Unievsky Betancourt, the newcomer Chris Getz at second, Billy Butler at first, and the veteran Jason Kendall behind the plate, beginning his 15th major league season. A mixture of cheers and boos for former Royal Johnny Damon, who has won a World Series with the Red Sox and the Yankees since leaving Kansas City.
One of the more popular players in Kansas City before he left. I think some of those boos are wishing he was probably still playing with the Royals.
Good start for Zach. 2 up, 2 down. As the Royals took the field for the introductions, the sun came out, so hopefully that's a sign of things to come this year. 73 degrees. We started at 3:11 Central Daylight Time, and the time and temp brought to you by the Parking Spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The Parking Spot at KCI. And now Maglio Ordonez, who had over 300 last year, but only 9 home runs. Ordonez had a rough first half, but from August the 1st until the end of the year, he hit .401.
I talked to him a little bit yesterday, Ryan, and he basically said he was having some family problems early in the year, and that kind of distracted him a little bit. But once that got squared away, and he just really got on a tear. And even though the power numbers weren't there, he just his on base percentage and just delivered some big hits to take him down the stretch.
His wife dealing with thyroid cancer last year, and these players, they make an enormous amount of money. They have great success on the field in front of a lot of people, but at times we forget about the human side.
Well, that family side is always going to play a big part no matter what you do. And if they're okay at home, then you're okay out here. But if not, then vice versa. You just can't concentrate the way you need to concentrate in this game.
And 35 at-bats against Zach Greinke. Ordonez hits 143, and he hits that ball hard into deep right center, and Ankiel won't be able to get there. So a rare hit for Ordonez against Zach, and the Tigers have a runner at second with 2 outs.
Well, Zach just leads his changeup. He kind of runs right back into his bat, Ryan. That helped a lot. I think Kendall wanted that ball to the outside part of the plate, and the ball just ran right back into the bat, and Ordonez stayed right through it and drove it into right center field.
Ordonez just hit his 400th major league double. And it doesn't matter how long you've been around. Every guy wants to get that first hit out of the way.
I'd say that first hit just relaxes you all the way, Ryan. You go 0 for 10 or something like that, then you wonder when it's ever going to come. And a lot of guys have those great springs, and they followed up with a long 0 for to start the season. That just drives you nuts.
So he's in scoring position for Miguel Cabrera, who finished with over 100 RBIs last year and well over 300. Cabrera made some news at the end of the regular season last year with an off-the-field incident, but all is forgiven between Cabrera and his teammates and the Detroit fans. And in 2 years in the American League since moving over to the National League, Cabrera has hit 71 home runs. 3-0.
I was out yesterday watching him take batting practice, Ryan. I tell you, nobody hits the ball any harder than this guy. And he was hitting balls against the wind, out of the ballpark to right field, right center field, straightaway center. And he's just a tremendously strong player.
And now 4-pitch walk. So the Tigers putting something together after 2 out and nobody on.
Well, it's all about command with Zach, Ryan. So you can see right here, and a guy like Cabrera, Zach's kind of a smart pitcher, so he might be trying to pitch around him. So we got Fox tracks here. It kind of shows you where the pitches are, and I think Zach was one of those intentional, non-intentional walks right there.
We'll be keeping an eye on Fox tracks all season long, which will read velocity, movement on the pitches, depth of the breaking balls, movement on fastballs, and most importantly, perhaps, at least according to the cameras, whether pitches are actually in the strike zone or not.
And that's key. And the one thing about the Fox tracks we need to remind the folks is that the sides are stationary. They'll always be the same, but the top adjusts to each hitter toward the hitter's height.
One and one on Carlos Guillen, who played in just 81 games last year. He had problems with his right shoulder. And like many players in the American League, has had a bad time against Zach Greinke. He bats in the first with 2 on, 2 out. Got in on his hands. The wind is going to push it to the left side, and Bloomquist has it go off of his glove. So a run scores, and for a moment there, Frank, it looked like, including Zach, there were 5 Royals on the infield who had no idea where the ball was.
Well, Zach made it clear right away. He had no idea where it was, and Willie and Billy, the corner guys, they've got to make that play. And if they don't pick it up right away, then the play gets made that way. But you can see where Willie's coming in. Billy's coming across the mound. Willie finally picks it up, but the ball goes back toward. And Zach Zach's showing all right away. I don't know where this ball is. If Zach knows where it's at, he's going to catch it himself. But he had no clue on that ball.
So the Tigers take a 1-0 lead, and now 2 in scoring position for Brandon Inge.
Well, that's pretty unfortunate there, Ryan. You make a good pitch, you get your pop-up to get you out of the inning, and I don't know whether the sun came out, the brightness of it made a difference or not.
Well, the wind has really picked up over the last 5 or 10 minutes. The pop-up at first appeared to be on the right side of the infield, and then the wind just blowing it over to the left side. It's 1-1 on Brandon Inge. By the way, that is an error charged to Willie Bloomquist, so no RBI for Guillen. And now Cabrera at third, Guillen standing at second base. Just a little bit inside. Joel, what's it like down there?
The sun, guys, the sun keeps coming out and going in and coming out and going in. And when the sun comes out and it's really bright, the wind dies down. When the sun goes away and under the clouds, the wind kicks up and it kicks up. So it's definitely a problem, guys.
2-2 on Brandon in. So one moment, the infielders and the outfield for that matter, they have a feel for what the conditions are, but a moment later it's completely different.
Well, I think the big thing is got to have your glasses. Even on a high sky, you need your glasses on, and if that sun is popping in and out, you just got to make sure you're prepared for anything that goes on out there. Quite interesting. Got a smart sun. He just wait for the flags. The flags are reacted to the clouds and the sun. That's pretty good.
Well, Jason Kendall showing his value right there in the first inning of the first game with Zach Greinke's hard slider down and away, and that saved a run.
Well, and that's, Zach's going to throw a lot of sliders, and Jason did a good job going over, just staying right in front of the ball and pushing it right back out to the infield part of the field. But that's what makes catchers valuable. If you have young pitchers who you're trying to get developed or keep developed, keep on the right track. So he's going to be really a big key to Hochevar, Bannister, and Davis.
Kendall couldn't catch it, but it was a strike. So at the air, it's just a one-run first for the Tigers. Tigers getting a run in the top of the first, and now the Royals coming up with David DeJesus leading off, followed by Scott Pasednik, then Billy Butler, Rick Ankiel batting cleanup, Jose Guillen, the designated hitter, Willie Bloomquist at third, Unievsky Betancourt at short, and then a couple of new faces, Jason Kendall and Chris Getz. Here's the Kia scouting report on Justin Verlander.
Well, we know Justin's got a great arm, Ryan, and he will be aggressive. He's got that little edge to him that really makes him that more special. He got to use his fastball in off the plate. He's got a great change up off of his fastball. And the good thing about him, Ryan, is that he's going to come after you.
And he comes right after David DeJesus. And since becoming a Royal, DeJesus has moved around quite a bit defensively. This will be his third regular position with the Royals, and they've tried to move him around in the lineup. And the Royals and DeJesus have just come to the conclusion that his best spot is leading off. After a career season in 08, DeJesus hit .281 last year.
That's one of those things, Ryan, that you think wouldn't wouldn't be so obvious, but when he moves out of that number 1 spot, it changes dramatically for him. And I don't know if he uses a different approach or his mindset goes somewhere else, but maybe this is just that comfort zone, that relaxing place for him to be. But he does well there.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Verlander's last pitch at 99 miles an hour. He's had an outstanding career against the Royals, 9-2 with an ERA of 2.32. David right back into center field.
They don't run when you live in the middle of the plate because of how hard you throw. And these guys up here can really take that ball back through the middle. Davey does a great job. Just kept a nice short swing, and the harder the guy throws, the shorter the swing, and you get to that, getting the strike zone a lot faster that way. And that was a nice line drive back to center field.
Sednick lays one down. Cabrera picks it up right on the line. It's a fair ball. So the Royals not wasting any time to show off their improved fundamentals on offense. Sednick moves to Jesus up to second base.
Well, one thing I noticed about Sednick and also Jason Kendall both, Brian, is that they don't mess around. When they want to advance a runner, they'll turn around and get that bunt down and get the job done. That's an outstanding bunt there. Cabrera waits a little longer, it may even go foul.
Should he have let it go foul?
Well, most managers say when you got it out, go ahead and take it.
So this is what the Royals are thinking about this year. David DeJesus get on. Scott Pasednik moving into scoring position for Billy Butler, who drove in 93 last year. And as Joel told us in Royals Live, Billy has outstanding numbers against Verlander. Verlander got in on the hands, and Inge, looking back to Jesus, throws out Billy for the second out. Tigers defensively with Johnny Damon in left, rookie Austin Jackson in center, replacing Curtis Granderson with Ordonez in right, Inge, Everett, Sizemore, and Cabrera on the dirt, and Gerald Laird, who led all major league catchers last year, throwing out 42% of runners, is behind the plate. And now Rick Ankiel. Ankiel missed a big chunk of spring training with a sore ankle. Royals just being very careful with him, knowing how much he's going to have to run this year, playing in center field every day. One and one.
That's a good slide. It just came in and it just disappeared right underneath Rick's bat. And Rick's got that batting stance, Ryan, where he stands straight up, and Fox Tracks put that right in the middle of the plate. So when you stand straight up like that, then you got to be able to go down and dig that slider out.
Hold to Sizemore. That's his first major league chance. So the Royals get DeJesus on, but leave him at second base. Gerald Laird after the first pitch from Greinke and out on a fly ball to left. Tigers getting an unearned run in the top of the first after an error by Willie Bloomquist and a drop pop-up, but a very difficult play with the sun in the wind. Willie filling in at third. The Royals are hopeful that Alberto Callaspo will be able to play at some point in this series after being out for the end of spring training with a tight rib cage muscle. So one out, and now Scott Sizemore. This is his first major league plate appearance, taking over at second base from Placido Polanco.
I talked to Jim Leland about him yesterday, Ryan, and he basically said he's sort of like the kid Chris Guest, are kind of on the same path in terms of just being just real good, solid ball players, and just need a chance to play. And Jim has sort of resigned himself this year with Austin Jackson and Sizemore to say, hey, it's time for the kids to play. Let them just go out there to play. But he's coming off an ankle surgery, and he's maybe average runner, but a guy that they think is just a ball player that knows where to be and position himself on the field.
Zach throws a fastball right by him. Well, every player remembers their first major league at bat. Sizemore going up against the reigning Cy Young winner, so this is a bit more than an initiation, if you will. This is almost like hazing. It's Zach Greinke, kid, go get him.
I wonder if there's anyone at home taping the game for him.
Well, there's that tough wind and the sun. Butler in front of the Royals dugout. And a much easier play than the one that Bloomquist had to deal with last inning. So just like the first, Zach retires the first two hitters in the second. Well, fans, make FoxSportsKansasCity.com your home for Royals video and updates. FoxSportsKansasCity.com for your Royals news all season. Ball one on Adam Everett with 2 outs and nobody on in the first. Magglio Ordonez doubled. Miguel Cabrera walked on 4 pitches, and then Guillen popped out to the left side, with the wind and the sun making it difficult for Bloomquist, and it dropped. And Ordonez coming around to score. And now the Tigers working on another 2-out rally in the second as Everett picks up his first hit of the year.
Well, this is a fastball here, Ryan, and Zach's fastball is running back into these right-handers, and that's a little up in the zone, and Everett was able to get his hands through and hit a line drive to left field.
Austin Jackson in his first big league at bat flied out to right. Former 8th round pick of the Yankees, an outstanding athlete. He was on his way to Georgia Tech to be a point guard before the Yankees convinced him to sign. He's out of Texas, and he was the big prospect coming over from New York when the Tigers sent Curtis Granderson to the Yankees.
I was saying earlier, Johnny Damon really likes Jackson. He thinks he's going to have a chance to be a great ball player. He likes his work habits, and he likes his approach when he comes to the park every day, and just a fun guy to watch, according to Johnny Damon. And when he got speed, everybody's going to watch it anyway. Here's Fox Tracks here on this pitch from Zach. The ball's running in, and that ball ran a long way.
1 ball, 2 strikes. In order to put Fox Tracks together, there are 3 different cameras in the ballpark that hone in on the strike zone, and as Frank said, it's adjusted according to the height of each batter. And the Royals are aware here that this is a good running situation with 2 outs and a runner at first and your leadoff man at the plate. the center field cameras. Long way from home plate. Everett not running, and Jackson lays off the slider. Thinking, of course, if Everett takes off and he's successful, you've got a runner in scoring position. If he takes off and he's thrown out, well, then you have your leadoff man leading off the third inning.
Well, that's usually the thinking there when you got a fast guy at the plate. So you really don't hurt yourself either way you go.
Laying off another slider, and Zach and Jackson have run out the string. So the Tigers, who missed winning the Central by 1 game last year, using 2 untested rookies at 2 very important positions, center field and second base. Everett is running, and Jackson pulls it to Betancourt to end the inning. 1-0 Tigers at the end of an inning and a half. And it gives us some time to announce an exciting contest this year, the You Call It Sweepstakes, where you have a chance to win a suite for you and 11 guests to a future Royals game. Just text in to You Call It like you normally would, and then you'll get a bounce back text message with instructions provided, filed away by Jose Guillen. You can also visit sprint.com/sponsorships/sports for complete rules and alternate methods of entry. Standard text rates apply. And there'll be 9 different opportunities this year where a fan and 11 guests can enjoy a Royals suite at Kauffman Stadium. Here's our first question for this year. Which newcomer will help the most? A, Rick Ankiel. B, Chris Getz. C, Jason Kendall. D, Scott Posednik. It's 1 and 2 on Jose Guillen. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals followed by a space, and then your answer: A, B, C, or D. "81 games for Jose Guillen last year, twice on the disabled list, and then was shut down for good in the first week of September. Batting 5th today, but when Alberto Callasco comes back, he's expected to hit 3rd. Everyone will move down, which means Guillen will hit 6th. Second time the Royals have opened the inning with a bullet into center field.
Well, let's see what Foxtrot puts this pitch to Jose Guillen. It's a good fastball from Verlander in the middle of the plate, and Jose showed a quick bat right at 100 miles an hour, right on the outer half of the plate. And he just stayed right with it and hit it right back through the box. That's a good piece of hitting right there.
Jose badly wanted to play right field this year, be the regular right fielder, and right now it doesn't appear it's going to work out that way. But the Royals were thrilled with his bat speed, and if he's getting around on 100 miles an hour and hitting it like that, Royals might have something at their DH spot.
Well, I tell you, if he moves back to that 6th spot and the guys up top are getting on base, that could be a great place for him all year.
Willie Bloomquist, a career high in just about everything last year, and because of injuries played just about everywhere. And one of the spots, Willie not happy with that pitch, one of the spots where the Royals thought they had depth was third base, and that's where Willie gets the start today because of injury.
Well, we take a look at this one, and this one started at Willie and just took a steep dive down, and Fox Track says the umpire's right.
It appeared that Laird was just a little crossed up and that the ball took his glove down.
I think Verlander and Zach both have just outstanding sliders, and you go back to the slider that Zach threw to Kendall to end the game. He had the glove one way, and the ball it was a late breaking slider. Then he had to change his glove. So you take a look at this pitch here. He wants to the outer half. It starts off on the inner half, and all of a sudden it just dives straight down. So it's probably above the knees when they pass home plate.
Last year, Bloomquist played in 23 more games than he's ever played before at the major league level, and had 183 more at-bats than he's ever had before. And Verlander strikes him out. Laird hangs on. So Verlander, who led the major leagues in strikeouts last year, has his first of the season. And now Yuniesky Betancourt played in 71 games with the Royals after being traded over from Seattle in $240 for KC. Royals have been thrilled with how much work he did during the offseason to improve his stamina, improve his physique. Happy with the way he was moving around at shortstop during spring training.
Ryan, he's a very good athlete. I mean, there's not a lot of things he can't do. I mean, at 28 years old, in my day, 28 to 32 were your prime years. So if that's the case with him, then it's not too late for him to regain what he had a couple of years ago and become one of the better shortstops in the American League.
One ball, one strike, and Betancourt has to know, because he watched all spring, Mike Avila's coming back the way he did, especially with the bat. Avila's appears to be faster now than he was a couple of years ago. He also worked very hard during the offseason. And when that arm is 100%, it's going to be tough to keep him out of the lineup.
That's what competition's all about. And I think anytime you can create it on your ball club and keep it for the most part of the year, then that's going to be good for the ball club.
Still 1-2. Off day tomorrow, and then game 2 at the Tigers will be at 7:10 with Royals Live beginning at 6:30. Luke Hochevar against former MU star Max Scherzer, coming over in a trade with the Diamondbacks. 138 of 140 Royals telecasts this year in high definition. Betancourt still alive. Well, Verlander's been pitching out of the stretch in the first 2 innings. De Jesus opened the bottom of the first with a single. Sednick moved him up to second with a bunt. Royals couldn't get De Jesus home, and now Guillen leading off the second with a base hit to center. And Betancourt lays off a changeup, and it's 2-2.
No, even though he hit 231 last year, Ryan, he was still able to leg out 6 triples, and that's his career high. He tied that. So if he can keep building on that, who knows what's going to happen. If he can raise his average another 35 points and play defense at shortstop, be a valuable player.
Having a long battle with Verlander. There's an interesting story in the Kansas City Star, Sam Mellinger, going back with the history of Betancourt, growing up in Cuba, where they basically tell you what to do every hour of the day, to coming over to the United States, making a lot of money, and all of a sudden you're on your own, that it takes a while for a guy to figure out a productive routine.
Well, I think that's where you need someone on your ball club that you kind of trust and possibly speak your language, that you can kind of relax and bring you along. And over there at Seattle, he had Beltray and some guys like that to help him out. And I think that somewhere along the line, you kind of get comfortable and you quit working as hard as you think you're working, and it catches up with you. So he's just at that point now where he just got to reassess where he's at and go out and get it every day.
He ends running, and Betancourt drives it into deep left center field. Jackson is back, and Betancourt puts the Royals in front. Well, he earned that after fouling off 4 tough pitches and getting the count to 3-2. So Betancourt drives in Guillen. And now Kendall with 1 out. And that's hit hard into left field. And Johnny Damon, fighting the wind, has to go down to a knee for the 2nd out.
Well, we talked about him having the ability to drive the ball, and that's a fastball that ran in on his hands. Foxtrot's got it at 99 miles an hour line, moving in on his hands, and he was able to bring those hands in, get the fat part of the bat on it, and drive it over the left center field wall. Great start.
So 2 down, and now Chris Getz, the double play partner of Betancourt. That's with 2 outs and nobody on. 1 ball, 1 strike. Getz, one of the newcomers, and we asked you, and you call it, who will help the most? Rick Ankiel, Getz, Jason Kendall, or Scott Posednik? Shallow right. This is a tough play. Ordonez dealing with the sun, and just inside the line puts it away. But Yuniesky Betancourt puts the Royals in front with a home run. Well, a great start to Unievsky Betancourt's 2010 season as he hits a 2-run home run off of Justin Verlander, and the Royals lead as we go to the top of the 3rd inning, and we welcome in Royals Hall of Famer Paul Splittorff. And, well, we knew this would be a great pitcher's duel, and both guys had to deal with a little adversity early on.
Well, they really did, and I don't think the first time out you expect them to be mid-season sharp, and I don't think we're seeing that today. Both of them got good stuff, good velocity, but a lot of fastballs. You talked about, Frank, in the middle of the plate, and guys getting good swings. They're ready.
Now, you went through this before, and you had been around for a while. You weren't a rookie, but guys try to downplay opening day, but I'd imagine it doesn't matter how long you've been around, there's some special nerves today.
There better be. If you don't get them today, you're not going to get them.
Johnny Damon into right field. David DeJesus. So Damon 0 for 2. And up comes Maglio Ordonez, who got the Tigers rally going with 2 outs and nobody on in the 1st inning. Doubled against Zach, then a 4-pitch walk, and the air on the pop-up, which allowed Ordonez to come around to score. In a game like this, Split, when the butterflies have butterflies, how long did it take where you were just saying to yourself, okay, I'm just pitching a game, I feel comfortable on the mound, the knees aren't wobbling?
I would think right about now, second time through the order, you got a couple innings under your belt, you found out what you have. I think both guys having a little trouble getting their slider over early on. They bounced a lot of it. Catchers are getting a little bit of a workout, so they're in it.
Well, they definitely get crossed up with that good slider. The catcher wanted to the outside part. It's kind of fading back inside and kind of throwing the hitters off a little bit, too, because they're making them raise the arms. That means that they think it's at them, and they get that inside corner when it should be away where the catcher wants.
You know, we've seen some funny swings. You get the feeling maybe hitters, you know, the first game, it's just different. You can go to spring training all you want, and you think you're ready, but until you do this, it's a little bit different. And, you know, pitches on the wrong side of the plate, and, you know, it can take a while to settle in.
Well, I think so, Paul, and, you know, just getting command of your fastball, getting it where you want it on a consistent basis, that's the key to most pitchers.
So Zach, for the 3rd straight inning, retires the first 2. Speaking of Zach, join us for an action-packed evening on Friday when the Royals take on the Red Sox. Get to the ballpark early to get your special Cy Young Celebration T-shirt featuring all 3 Royals winners for the first 35,000 fans, sponsored by H&R Block. And before the first pitch, we're going to honor Zach Greinke with a special celebration. And after the game, the first Fireworks Friday, brought to you by Hy-Vee and Pepsi. All that coming up on Friday night. 2-0 on Miguel Cabrera, on with a 4-pitch walk in the 1st inning. Zach last year introduced a new symbol for the strikeout. Some people would hang Z's, and they hung a lot of Z's. Tigers down 1-2-3 for the first time today. His 25th anniversary year. Former catcher John Wathan has been an important part of the Royals organization as a player, broadcaster, and currently serving as special assistant to player development and scouting. Duke is down there with his wife Nancy. They have 3 children, including Dina, who works in the Royals media relations department. So he is normally behind home plate, watching the game, evaluating the game, but today doing it from the Buck O'Neil legacy seat.
Frank, how about the timing of his career? He comes up in '76, the first time we go to the postseason. His last game is the World Series of '85. They let him go. So if you talk to him, it's all about him.
Well, you know, Duke did a lot of things to make himself a good ball player. He not only caught, but he played a little third, played left field, first base, whatever he could do to stay in the game. He was willing to make that adjustment.
He's one of those guys who said, I did not profile out to be much of anything, but ended up doing a lot of things. And he goes to minor leagues, and he likes to see the young players and see if he can project out and find that guy. Might be able to do some of the same things that he did.
Yeah, the one thing he does well is he teaches base running very well. And that's one of the things he does in spring training is teach base running to the not only to the major league guys, but also to the minor league guys. And he handles the bunting responsibilities at times, so he's pretty busy.
He taught me very early on that you do not say someone runs well for a catcher. You just say he runs well. And he did. 2-2 on David DeJesus. Let's go back down to the field and Joel.
Well, guys, it's the 6th straight opening day start for David DeJesus in a Royals jersey. He told me that the key for him has been consistency. It's part of baseball. If you do your job every day, you don't have to be a superstar. You can still be on the field. He said he remembers that first opening day start back in 2005. There were a little bit of nerves, a little bit of jitters, but they went away once the game started, and he said that's been the case for him every single year. The last opening day lineup for the Royals without David DeJesus was 2004. Angel Baroa led off. Carlos Beltran batted second, guys.
And we remember that game. Game number 1 of 2004 when the Royals came storming back in the 9th inning against the White Sox. That's the second strikeout for Verlander, and DeJesus is 1 for 2. Here's today's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers, and league leaders from last year with this pitching matchup. Greinke leading in ERA, second in strikeouts to Verlander, second in complete games. Very low opponent's batting average on both sides. Verlander won 19, but Zach winning the Cy Young because of the shutouts and because of the 2.16 ERA, and they were duking it out before the game today.
Neither head looks real serious. Yeah.
I do think the voters got the Cy Young Award right when they voted Zach in. Felix Hernandez out in Seattle had an outstanding year. If Zach wasn't going to win it, I was afraid that he would be the one that would. Although Verlander, legitimate candidate, no doubt.
Well, really, the only thing that you had questions about was the number of wins, and 16 wins is a little far away from 19. But when you look at how he shut the league down in all the other categories, you got to look at him very hard.
Well, I think that's what people did. They looked at this ball club and said, well, he won 16 with that team. What would he have done with some others? And I mean, first time in the history that the Cy Young guy had won less than 18. Nice recognition for Zach.
Well, I can tell you from my part, I was not that surprised that Zach won it, but I was surprised by the margin that he won it, that so many writers were thinking along those lines.
25 of what, 28? First place went to Greinke.
Change up, and that's been a good pitch for Verlander today. Second strikeout on that pitch, and his third overall in the game.
He's got a very quick tempo. He doesn't take much time between pitches, kind of a quick windup. Everybody knows that he's an aggressive guy and gets after him. For a player like him, I mean, he already has 3 above-average pitches. Now, if he's going to work in a 4th one, oh, boy.
Oh, boy, that's the right word. The one thing about a guy that throws hard, split, and you can answer this better and tell me if I'm on the right track or not, but if you can't spot your fastball, If your fastball is not where you want it, like Verlander's fastball is getting hit even at 99, now the changeup becomes even a better pitch, because now when you go back to your fastball, it makes it that much more effective.
Frank, you saw a lot of fastballs. I think you wanted it straight and you wanted it out over the plate. You didn't care how hard it was.
And a little down.
A little bit down would be good, so you could lean on it a little bit. But that's why we talked before the ballgame about use your fastball with a purpose. Now, the purpose isn't 97 miles an hour in the middle of the plate. The purpose is one side or the other a little bit. Go ahead and put the whole ball in the plate, but keep it out of the middle, because these big league guys know what to do with the straight one down the middle.
Right. If you move that fastball both sides of the plate, and you get the type of slider that he and Zach has, and you get the kind of changeups they have, then you got two pitches that they can really dominate a hitter with if he's fighting your fastball.
Well, even if it's just two-seam, four-seam, same pitch, but the two-seam gets you a little run. The four-seam either ride it or cut it a little bit. There's two different ones right there.
Verlander really got in on Billy Butler. So Billy is 0 for 2, and the Royals are down in order in the third. Hey, one of the best promo nights for fans returns on Saturday. The first 20,000 fans will get this Royals replica jersey presented by Fox Sports Kansas City. It's our third jersey giveaway in 3 years. It's Saturday night with the Royals and the Red Sox. And that is Emily Rand, who used to work for the Royals and now a big shot over at Sprint Center.
She was our top model 3 or 4 years ago.
And that's quite an honor.
Yes, it is.
We don't just run anyone out there. Carlos Guillen has the key plate appearance. There's a foul ball just to our left that was headed right towards Denny Matthews and Bob Davis. I think everyone's all right. Guillen, with runners at first and second and 2 out, hit a high pop-up. The wind grabbed it, pulled it from the right side of the infield over to the left side. There was sun to deal with. Went off of Willie Bloomquist's glove for an error and allowed Ordonez to score. Royals 2 runs coming on a Yunievsky Betancourt home run in the second inning.
Brian, you talk about that pitch that got popped up. It's actually a pretty good effort right here. Trying to come inside, got it there. Again, dropped the head on it. Frank, that was a big league pop-up. I mean, it was way up there.
Now, he's the one pitcher that if he took charge and wanted to catch that ball, you'd probably let him.
If he saw it, I'm sure he would have caught that ball. He never saw it right away. His arms went out to the side.
Why don't they let you guys catch those things, Split? I mean, they
I
want
think
you guys to get out of there.
Well, they spent a lot of time trying to keep the guys out of there, but maybe they ought to include them a little bit. No, they're on the right track. Get them over there to back up third, back up home.
past Grinke and into center field. So I guess the glove on your hand is just to get the throws back from the catcher.
It's to hide the baseball. You don't want him seeing the grip. Zach's delivery is just classic. I mean, balance right there. A little bit of a close of the hip. It gives him some deception to the hitter. A little tuck right there, but everything is on time. Arm is always up in a good release point on top. Comes down the hill and just let it happen. And that's athleticism as well, to be able to repeat a delivery, much like a hitter would repeat his swing.
I think that pitch really did everything Zach wanted it to do. Split as a changeup that really fell off the table, and Guillen just stayed right with it.
Zach has walked one. He has struck out one. He's given up 2 singles and a double. Chance for 2. Out at second. Double play.
Tailor-made right here. Sharply hit on the ground right at one of your infielders. Give that middle infielder plenty of time to turn it. Make sure the base runner didn't get in his feet, but gets it second.
Well, that's true. You just want to make sure that the second baseman gets there, and Getz did a good job getting the ball and then making that transfer to first base and getting that left leg out of the way.
Gerald Laird drives it into the corner and a little bit out in front.
Gerald Laird is a guy that kind of scares you a little bit. You hear all about slider, bat speed. He didn't catch up with the good fastball, but thinking back over the last few years, he's done some damage. Seems like he can always get something to hit. Always sits down in the lineup. You maybe overlook him a little bit, but maybe before the series is over, he's got something in the seats out there.
Well, that's true, Paul. I mean, he only had 225 last year. I think 4 home runs somewhere in there. But the thing he does well is hits the ball the other way, and he can advance runners. And he's kind of like the Tigers. What I think the Royals want Kendall to be to the Royals. It's that defense behind the plate that they're looking for in handling these young pitchers.
He'll lay one down too. There are many catchers where you worry about the drag bunt, but especially when that third baseman probably won't do it here with 2 strikes, but notices that third baseman's back and there's a free hit out there, he'll take it.
We've seen that.
They're going to say he went around. Home plate umpire Ed Rapuano pointed at Laird, saying it was a swing. Zach faces only 3 in the 4th. To Kauffman Stadium. That's one of the new features this year out by the Hall of Fame in the left field corner. And we've heard that Fred White has already been out there 3 times today.
That's a tradition for me on opening day. Do the ball game here in Kansas City and then hit the Stroud's after the ball game. Now I don't have to leave the park. Say left field, okay. Got to find out where I'm going.
A little fried chicken. And apparently they brought the rolls over, too.
Some people think they have the best steak in town.
Yeah, that's saying something in this town.
You're kind of wide-eyed all of a sudden, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hey, I can vouch for the fact that Fred White's sitting next to me right now.
Joel must be in Stroud's also.
0-2 to Rick Ankiel, grounded out to second in the first inning.
Frank, I want to talk to you about Rick's hands, how low he carries them and even drops them from that point right there. I was surprised to see that when I saw him in Texas and picked him up in batting practice the last couple of days. It's going to be just a matter of time before Verlander and others try him in on the knuckles.
Well, they're going to stay in on him around the belt. You right the ball, and they're going to keep the breaking ball down underneath his swing until he goes down and gets it. And it also makes him vulnerable to the good fastballs on the outer half of the plate.
4 strikeouts for Verlander. He had 269 last year to lead both leagues. And Guillen pops it up to the left side. Guillen singling on a pitch at 99 in the second inning and pop up at 97 miles an hour. Here's today's Roadrunner turbo speed pitch comparison. Verlander has hit 100. Zach up to 98. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable.
I don't see anybody doubling those speeds.
You know, that refers to some guy at home,
some other guy
in Lenexa who throws 42. We're talking about doubling his speed.
Okay.
Bloomquist struck out in the second inning. Well, just as Split predicted a couple of innings ago, this is about the point when both pitchers settle in, and Verlander and Greinke are looking pretty comfortable.
Well, his plan coming in was stay off his high fastball. Knew you can't catch up with it, so leave it alone. Try to hit the fastball, as you mentioned, Frank, that is down a little bit. And if you make some mistake with the breaking ball and the high breaking ball.
Well, the down doesn't seem to be as fast as up. You know, when you go to swing the ball belt high and you got a little hop to it and it's over your bat before you swing it. If you keep it down, even though it's fast, it doesn't look quite as fast.
98 is slap foul, 2-2. Verlander has retired the last 7. Last man to reach was Betancourt, who hit the 2-run home run in the second inning. And Verlander strikes out Bloomquist again. Verlander has 5 today. Sellout crowd at Kauffman Stadium, and it's turned out to be a beautiful sunny day, and the Royals in front by 1. Ryan Lefevre with Paul Slidorf and Frank White. And when you talk about Greinke and Verlander, you're not going to have long rallies. It's either going to be a mistake, like an error to get a run, or one mistake pitch over the middle of the plate, Betancourt's home run.
You're not going to have many scoring opportunities. The Royals have they've retired, well, all but one over the last 3 innings behind Zach. And Verlander is on a nice run right now, too.
Well, I agree, Paul. And you see now that when they get the ground balls, the infielders are ready. They're getting those strikes in the strike zone and getting these defenders ready to make the plays. And when you keep that defense on their toes, and by throwing strikes, you get those plays made behind you.
Scott Sizemore, no relation to Cleveland's Grady Sizemore, fouled out to Butler in the 2nd inning. That was his first major league at bat. Fighting to stay alive against Zach. Zach has retired 6 of the last 7. One and 2. Tigers getting Sizemore at a Virginia Commonwealth, and that's where they found Brandon Inge. Hoping that Brandon Inge can stick around and be Sizemore can stick around and be as productive as Brandon Inge has been, who's been a catcher, he's been an outfielder, and now has played several years at third base.
Well, you don't know what kind of player he's going to develop into, but Tom Brookman's their first base coach and former infielder, is kind of taking him under his wing. And if he's going to be like Brookman's, he's going to be solid.
Well, yeah, he did 300 between AA and AAA last season. I think 17 home runs.
Boy, how did Willie Bloomquist concentrate on the ball with the barrel of the bat flying over his head?
That's about as close as they come right there. Most guys would have definitely flinched on that one, but he just stayed with the ball. And watch how close his bat comes to his left shoulder. Oh, it went behind him.
Does it make a difference whether it's the light colored bat or if it's got the dark stain on it? Do you pick one of them up better?
Well, the dark bats are harder to see.
Yeah.
And you ask umpires when they call check swings, they say the dark bats are harder to see, so you get more check swing calls on the batter when you use a dark bat.
Hopefully this will be the last time that Ankiel has to chase down a ball on the warning track today.
Beach ball in Kansas City.
Adam Everett singled in the 2nd inning. 3 hits for the Tigers, 2 singles, and Ordonez double in the 1st. Back-to-back curveballs. That one in for a strike.
So Zach's delivery is the same, whether it's the 98-mile-an-hour fastball, whether it's the 68-mile-an-hour curveball, whether it's the changeup he's worked on in camp each of the last 2 spring trainings. Everything is the same. Something the hitter doesn't pick up till the ball's about halfway to the plate. And has command the ball up. That was the surprising thing. He was throwing 88 several years ago, had great command. All of a sudden he threw 96 and 98. Had the same accuracy.
Strikeout number 3.
We talked about the importance of the slider. Let that be your op pitch today. Doesn't even have to be in the strike zone. It just disappears on the hitter.
Well, he's got such a tight one, and by the time they pick it up, it looks like a fastball, and it just disappears on him. That's what they call that disappearing slider.
K's, Z's, whatever. We saw a lot of them last year. 242 strikeouts for Zach. Backwards K, a called 3rd strike as opposed to the swinging strike. 2-1 on Austin Jackson. Both teams off tomorrow, then the series resumes on Wednesday. Hy-Vee Royals Live begins at 6:30, and then game number 2 in high definition with Luke Hochaver going up against Max Scherzer. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jackson getting pretty good swings. If you make a contending team like the Tigers with no major league experience at all, and Jim Leland obviously feels like these guys are confident enough to play at this level, and Jackson certainly doesn't look like someone who is scared or backing down to the Cy Young winner. He's up there getting his rips.
Well, he got a lot of resemblance to B.J. Upton at the plate in body size and so forth. But 123 strikeouts first go around in AAA. That's something that, being a leadoff hitter, he may have to cut down on. But what's interesting, 390 is batting average and balls put in play. So that means when he gets on the ground to use his legs, he got a chance to do something good for you on the bases.
Got him looking. Zach has struck out 4. He has retired 9 of the last 10. Here's today's AT&T trivia question. Who was the Royals opening day center fielder in the inaugural season of 1969?
Did not profile out as a center fielder.
To say the least.
Remember Ed Kirkpatrick playing out there quite a bit? He was a catcher center fielder, really good athlete.
Yeah, he could run pretty decent for a catcher. We can ask Duke about Eddie.
Royals ahead because of Unievsky Betancourt's home run in the 2nd inning. Inge over to the dugout suite to get him on a pop-up in the 5th.
Frank, how important is it for Betancourt to get off to a good start? I mean, the big home run today with some of the heat that he's taken the second half of last year, a little bit in the offseason. Got to think it's big.
Well, I think it's huge. You come into the season with a negative anyway from the fans' perspective, and I think when you take into consideration how hard he worked this offseason to get himself ready for spring training, how hard he worked on spring training, then, I mean, you not only pull for him, but anytime you can get up to a good start, and it brings everybody more in your direction.
I really liked the bounce in his game when he first came over here in July of last year. Seemed to lose that maybe a little bit the last month or so, but I think I would see it back again.
Well, I was telling Ryan that when we were playing, they always looked at that 28 to 32 as being your prime years. And he's at 28. So it's not too late for him to turn everything around for himself. And like I say, if he's willing to put in the work like he was this offseason, I think he's got a chance to have a pretty decent season.
Two and two on Kendall. Lined out to left in the second inning. Verlander settling in just like Greinke. And if Ordonez makes the play, that'll be 10 in a row, and it is. 2 down in the 5th.
Getting the time of the ball game was really pretty easy to play on opening day. You pass the early jitters, the crowd is here, the temperature is comfortable, and now you're into the ball game. And it's fun to play on a day like this.
Well, especially when you wake up in the morning thinking, oh man, it's going to be a miserable day, hitting in the cages and all that, and you come here and everybody's on the field, the fans are coming in, the atmosphere seems to build as you get closer to game time, and the sun comes out. And so I'm like Ryan, you get that first base hit, it's a good day.
One of my openers was in Detroit when I woke up at the Pontchartrain. It was snowing.
I remember a snowed out day in Cleveland also at the start of the season.
Heck, we got snowed out opening day in Chicago last year.
This last year?
Yeah.
I don't remember all of the circumstances, but I do remember going from Kansas City to Detroit a few years ago and coming down through the clouds, and Detroit was white. And they were shoveling snow and just barely able to get the games in. 73 degrees at first pitch today. Gets into the right field corner and deep, and just foul.
The thing I remember about that trip, there were snow piles everywhere. There wasn't anything that indicated spring until you got to Comerica to the field was green. Now, did they paint that, or how did they do that?
They used to paint it in Cleveland.
Hey, they used to paint it here in Kansas City, too.
Verlander with 5 strikeouts, and he's retired 10 in a row. He got Getz on a fly out to right in the second inning. 2-2. Into center field. Chris Getz has his first hit as a Royal. So that snaps the string, and now the top of the order coming up.
Well, 4 of the 9 have their first one.
Well, I mean, that's a nice short stroke on a good fastball right back through the middle. I really like his swing because he's really not trying to do too much. He just stays with that ball, hits it the way it's pitched, and got a base hit. Now look at the Exmo, and then just look at that top hand. If you keep those palms up on that top hand, that means you're going to get through the ball and not give your wrist a chance to roll over it, and that'll give you a chance to hit the line drive.
How about his start position, his hands up high like that? I mean, you feel like you can get on top.
Right, and, you always want to be above the ball, and that's one thing that he does, and not a lot of body movement. Just use his hands and throw the head of the bat to the ball.
When he gets down to second base, he's going to take a hot pie out of the oven. So he's got that little oven mitt on his hand. That's one way to prevent breaking your finger sliding into second base.
Well, that's true. Well, in the old days, we didn't have batting gloves, so we would just take a pile of dirt in each hand and just when you go to slide, just throw it out, and those fingers, those palms will be up to the base, and you don't pop those fingers like that. I mean, every year they come out with something new.
Getz takes off, and the ball slips out of Laird's hand. So Chris Getz, who swiped 25 last year, moves into scoring position.
In talking to Trey, he wants to run more this year. Yes, he has some people to do it with.
And I think that's the way they have to play with the power shortage they had from last year. They had more power, less power, more speed, better defense. But here, when the catcher knows you got to run, he gets in a little bit of a hurry, and he mishandles the ball and gets able to slide in safe.
Just foul. Jesus getting around on 97 miles an hour. Not only 25 stolen bases for Getz, but 25 out of 27. So when he goes, that's a pretty good bet he's going to be safe.
Right. When you're in a big ballpark, you got to have speed. You know, not only to cover the outfield, but also the play in a park this size. Speed definitely allows you to take advantage of the doubles and the triples, and when you not get a lot of home runs.
And even if it's not stolen base speed, it's scoring from first on a double that rolls a little bit deep, making sure you score from second on a base hit.
Great play, Everett. No out, but he saves a run by keeping it on the dirt.
I thought we might have one of those right there. If this ball gets through, Getz will have no problem at all.
He scores easily on that one. And Everett really, when we brought Getz over here this year for defense, when the Tigers brought Everett over to play shortstop, it was mainly for that reason right there, defense. They wanted to improve their defense to help their pitching, and that's what the Royals are trying to do this season also.
Betancourt has laid down a bunt today as a sacrifice, and he has struck out. I bring that up because he is an excellent drag bunter to the right side, and he has not done very well against Verlander in his career. One and one. Today's You Call It, presented by Sprint. We asked you which newcomer will help the most this year. Rick Ankiel, Chris Getz, Jason Kendall, or Scott Betancourt. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals followed by a space and then A, B, C, or D. Getz at third to Jesus at first. Well, it's easy to say right down the middle, but when it's Justin Verlander, right down the middle might be 99 miles an hour like that last pitch.
When we take a look at Fox Track, and that tells you exactly where it's at. It's very hittable to the inner half of the plate. Most lefties like the ball right there.
Betancourt also will do that little kind of check swing slash bunt with two strikes, and some umpires think it's a bunt attempt, some think it's a swing attempt. He was able to do it successfully against the Royals last year in fair territory. Jesus took off. He was on his way. He was able to read it and slam on the brakes.
Well, that's the old fake to third, back to first play, and with Chris Getz on third base, there's always a chance they want to try to steal a run there.
Two and two.
That would be the altitude time to try it. Right. 2 strikes on the hitter, 2 outs in the inning.
With 2 outs, nobody on, Getz singled, stole second, and went to third on DeJesus' infield single. Verlander is either distracted or he's convinced the Royals have something in the works. And this is good for Betancourt because he seems to be more concerned with the Jesus than he does the hitter.
This is good for everybody in a powder blue jersey right now.
Well, that's true.
David runs and no throw.
Well, I tell you, you don't want to go back and look at that head first slide. David actually went it with arms out. He ended up with his arms back underneath him, so that could have been a serious shoulder injury right there. So you just take a look at him here, Ryan. Hand goes out, but then all of a sudden it gets bent right behind him.
Bill, the hat goes into the dirt. That's a neck injury right there.
Neck, shoulder, embarrassing.
I would think Verlander would rather not face Butler with the bases loaded. So you think Posednik should get something to hit here. And he does and fouls it away. It's been a long inning for Verlander, and an inning that began with the first two hitters going down, and now 23 pitches. That's as many pitches as he had back in the second when the Royals scored 2 on the Betancourt home run. Loaded up for Butler.
Rick Knapp is the second-year pitching coach for the Tigers, so he's had these guys for a year. Just give your guy a break right now. This is Verlander's ball game. They don't have anybody warming up behind him, so no big message right here. Just catch your breath. Got the best hitter on the opposing team standing in against you. It's one of those matchups you came to the ballpark to see here today.
11 for 26 against Verlander. I think this is classic right here, Paul.
Verlander has gotten the best of Billy so far today with a couple of slow rollers to the left side, but prior to today, only Denard Span of the Twins has a better career batting average against Justin Verlander than Billy Butler.
Well, he's taking that fastball right and ran it in on his hands. But Billy sees his changeup pretty good, so he stayed pretty much hard and try to run the fastball in on him and try to get in on his hand.
25th pitch of the inning.
And one of the reasons that Billy is the best hitter on this ball club is because he remembers those kind of things. I mean, he adjusts throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of an at-bat. And if you've got him out a way or two or work him a particular way, he will take that to his next at-bat, probably better than anybody else on this ball club.
Tempted. That's a tough pitch to lay off. It's 2-0.
Remember the game plan coming in, you got to stay off the high, hard one.
Well, that's true, and that's up out of the zone, and now he's got a chance to get his pitch on this pitch, and if it's not his, just let it go.
That wasn't his pitch, and that's the pitch that he's gotten him on in the first two at-bats.
That's the ball he's been running in and trying to jam him and try to hit those weak ground balls.
Joe Zamai, one of the power arms in their bullpen, now just beginning to warm up.
Two and two. Right now the sun is behind a cloud, and that's a good thing because the shadows, if it were sunny, would really favor the pitcher. The hitter with no clouds would be in the shade, and you can see Billy in the shade with Verlander in the sunlight. Verlander doesn't need that extra advantage. Drilled into right field. Royals are going to get 2. And Posednik into third base.
Well, he tried to run it in on his hands again, Paul. Like you said, he remembers and makes adjustments, so he was able to get enough with a bat on it. They started him out with a high fastball in the first 2 pitches. Then he still tried to run it in on the inside corner for a strike. That one at 100 miles an hour down the middle. And this is number he ran in, and Billy just got inside of this ball and served it out into right field for 2 RBI.
Billy always seems to stay inside the ball.
Well, he uses line to line, and he doesn't try to do too much, try to hit the ball where it's pitched. And I think the biggest adjustment there was he laid off the pitch that he'd gotten him out the previous 2 times with.
And now Ankiel with runners at the corners. 0 for 2 so far. Still throwing at 98 miles an hour. That was his 30th pitch of the inning and his 90th of the game. All of this started with 2 outs and nobody on base. Oh and 2. Let's wrap up the AT&T trivia question. The Royals opening day center fielder back in 1969 ended up being a Rookie of the Year and a Major League manager. It was Lou Piniella. Center fielder and a leadoff man. That's not the type of player he turned out to be.
Turned into Rookie of the Year and a left fielder. Joe Gordon, the manager, rolled out that lineup.
Verlander finished off the inning with his 6th strikeout, but with 2 outs, nobody on, the Royals get 3 hits. They get a walk. They get a stolen base. And Billy Butler, who drove in 93 last year, a better 3G experience by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Yard care solutions start at steeldealers.com. And by Panera Bread, explore a menu of soups, salads, sandwiches, and breakfast items at Panera Bread. So Billy Butler coming through with 2 outs and driving in Chris Getz and David DeJesus, and that along with Yuniesky Betancourt's 2-run home run in the 2nd inning. Gives Zach Greinke 3 runs to work with, and Zach has retired 9 of the last 10. You'll get Johnny Damon, Maglio Ordonez, and Miguel Cabrera in the 6th. Johnny is grounded out to second, flied out to left field. Coming up through the Royals system, he's in several of the top 10 all-time categories. Runs, hits, doubles, triples, batting average, stolen base. Johnny in the top 10. And for a big chunk of his Royals career, his first base coach and outfield coach was Frank White. And Johnny has his first hit in a Tiger uniform. And now that Johnny's had a very long and successful career, a couple of World Series rings, he looks back on some great advice that Frank once gave him.
Frank White told me many years ago, he said, don't just play the game. You have to try to leave a mark, because no one's going to remember the guys who just play. Go out there and leave a mark, whether you leave a mark on a 5-year-old kid who sees the way you hustle or when you sign an autograph. You know, try to make this the greatest time of your life.
Do you remember talking to him about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I kind of got that advice from Hal McRae when I was a young player. He said, just try to make sure you leave something on the field every day. Always take something home with you that's positive for the ball club and for your teammates, and that's kind of where they came from.
And let's face it, guys like Johnny who get booed when they come back to Kansas City, that's really the Royals fans' way of saying, we wish you never left.
We miss you.
Because the fans love Johnny Damon. He was exactly what Frank advised him to be. Played hard in the field, and he was great in the community.
I don't think he was ever any better than he was in Boston. I mean, he was a folk hero there. Had the long hair. I mean, they loved him. How can you go from there to New York?
Well, I tell you, I think I was surprised he left New York, but he brings a different element to the Tigers. He brings a winning attitude. He brings an element of speed and defense, where Granderson had the speed and the defense, but he didn't use it to steal bases and do things like that. Where Johnny brings him a lot more complete player.
Well, back come the Tigers after the Royals get 2 in the 5th inning, and now they have 3 straight hits. And with Damon's speed, he will score. So the go-ahead run comes to the plate, and there are nobody out.
This all happened so quickly because Zach had faced just 1 over the minimum since that first inning. Had just 2 balls out of the infield against him. So a little bit of a rough spot for him right here, but he's also right in the middle of that Tiger lineup. So 3rd time through, always an important one. Cabrera, one of the best offensive players in all of baseball.
Well, just like Butler, Paul, I mean, that ball ran in on his hands, but he didn't try to pull it. He just stayed inside of it and hit it where it was pitched, and that's what makes him a great hitter also.
I don't know how you guys feel, but when I watch Billy Butler and then I watch Miguel Cabrera, I see a lot of similarities there. Big guys who could hit a lot of home runs, and Cabrera's ahead of Billy right now, but look at what they both do with their last 2 hits.
Well, they just don't try to pull it. They just try to hit it where it's pitched. And you see how Zach's ball's running in on him. See how fast he got inside of it and didn't try to pull it, but hit it back the other way.
Big call in the similarities. All the action, the footwork, the hips, the hands the same. Cabrera's a little bit bigger. Maybe get the ball out of the strike zone a little bit better.
And Cabrera's a little stronger, too. And I think that he's got some serious power to right center field and straightaway center. And those are things that Billy can mature into as he gets a little bit older and maybe increase his power numbers also.
Guillen reached on the Bloomquist error in the 1st inning, which led to the Tigers' 1st run, and he is singled against Zach. Guillen, former shortstop. Then the Tigers thought about using him in left field. They thought about using him at first base, and will be the designated hitter this year.
But the one thing about Carlos Guillen, Ryan, is he's going to have a big year this year in terms of he's going to be the guy that they're going to pitch around Cabrera to pitch to. And I mean, his last healthy year, he did drive in 100 runs, but he's been hurt the last few years. But anytime opposing teams can pitch around Cabrera to face him, that's going to put him on the spot pretty much all year.
He will be one of the keys as the Royals get activity in their bullpen. Vermont Cologne warming up. He will be one of the keys because of the injuries the last few years. If he's gone, you can pretty much take Cabrera out of their lineup.
Definitely.
So an injury to him really cost them 2 players.
Three straight singles: Damon, Ordonez, and Cabrera. Now Guillen is a great double play candidate. Royals have already turned 1 double play today in the 4th inning with Brandon Inge at the plate. Shallow left center, and Posednik makes the catch. One away. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Z fence?
Combination, strike them out, throw them out.
Okay. Well, the next major award he might win is a Gold Glove, if it refers to his Z fence. He's a very good defender. Well, the last time Brandon Inge batted, grounded out 5-4-3. He's also struck out.
Zach continues to try to pound that strike zone, get ahead of hitters. Lack of command does not hurt him in this inning, even though he's given up 3 hits.
Bloomquist dives, and he'll go to the bag, and the Royals lucky to get the 1 out.
Well, this is defense here, Ryan. This is defense at its best. Willie does a good job at first step quickness, does a good job backhanding this ball, and almost overdove that ball. That's a good way to get a wrist injury right there, Paul. But he does a super job of stopping that ball, then hustling to his feet and tagging the base to get the lead run.
And right now, you hope that play is a game changer.
Yes, sir.
And a redeemer for Bloomquist. Have that pop up in the first inning. He wants to make a play like that right there with the ball game on the line late.
Yeah, that ball gets down the line. That could be big trouble for Zach right now. But making that play, Zach seizes that momentum, gets out of this inning, and that'll help him a lot.
Bloomquist getting all that playing time last year, and I'm sure as he looked forward to 2010, the last place in the world he thought he'd be playing would be third base with Alex Gordon and Alberto Callaspo and Josh Fields. Two 2-0 on Gerald Laird, who's 0 for 2.
Well, I say the workload in spring training is going to be as heavy a workload you're ever going to get as a player. So if you can get through spring training healthy, then the rest is kind of gravy the rest of the way, because you go out there every morning, you're pounding those fundamentals, and you're running, and the games, the bus rides, and everything like that. And when you get through all that, healthy, starting the season, opening day, then that's a good feeling.
Now Zach falls behind 3-0 on Laird, with the rookie Scott Sizemore on deck. Roman Colon has been joined by John Parrish, the lefty, and the Royals with 2 lefties in the bullpen, Parrish and Dusty Hughes. Parrish trying to come back from major arm surgery. Zach trying to give the Royals 6 innings. This is pitch number 96, and it's in on the hands. A much easier play for Bloomquist. So the Tigers come up with just 1. Thanks in large part to this play by Willie Bloomquist, taking a Royals coming up with 4 runs against Justin Verlander. And as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, Ryan Lefebvre with Paul Splittorff and Frank White. And it's only one game, Frank, but we're seeing some of the things that the Royals really emphasized in spring training today.
And some of the new guys they brought over, too, Ryan. You saw Chris Getz get a base hit, still second base. Willie Bloomquist, key defense at third base. And also Jason Kendall blocking Zach's tough slider down in the dirt, blocking it back out toward the mound. So those are some of the things that they talked about and getting accomplished. And like you say, one day, but it's a good sign to see it right away.
Absolutely. Good start in this, and now it's up to the bullpen. Zamaya into the game for the Tigers, and Royals bullpen still active as well. So that's the key part that the Royals want to turn around, as well as that defense and speed.
Well, Zach is at 96, and you figure he's not going to go much further than that on opening day. And here's Zamaya after Verlander goes just 5. Now you figure this isn't going to be a huge adjustment for the Royals. You go from one guy throwing heat to another guy throwing heat, but Split, you and I remember a few years ago on opening day here at Kauffman Stadium, the Tigers went from Kenny Rogers, who was throwing about 82 miles an hour, to some kid named Joel Zamaya, who was working with the advantage of the shadows and came out pumping it in at 98 miles an hour. Guillen 1 for 3 with the ground out to short. Royals fans, this season it's easier than ever to find the seats you want or sell tickets to the games you can't make. On StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Royals, you'll find great seats and great service on StubHub all season. So go to StubHub.com and choose your seats today. That jacket is not available at StubHub.com.
Ryan, you talk about that debut of Joel Zamaya. My family was in the ballpark that day and met his family, who were here with the Tiger jerseys. And his mom told my daughter, well, my son is going to make his major league debut today. He's a pitcher. He's not starting, but he'll be the first one out of the bullpen. And when he comes in, he throws 100 miles an hour. Now, somebody in the ballpark tells you that about their kid, you say, okay, fine, he probably throws pretty good. Then he came out and dialed up 100. He was the first guy out of the pen, and he brought 100 miles an hour with him. So Mom was right. What do you think if somebody tells you that? My kid's coming in, and he's got 100.
I think that's a proud parent talking right there. Oh, my God, that's a heads up.
Yeah. I hope he knows where it's going.
Betancourt hit a 2-run home run off of Verlander in the 2nd inning. He is also fouled out to third. Oh, and 2.
This is back in the 2nd inning, and fastball up around the belt. They got the hands through it, and he's running hard right from the start. Because we don't hit a lot of home runs. You really got to go. You really got to go until you see that ball disappears. And that was a big hit, not only for Unieski but also for the Royals at that time.
Flawless defense so far. A couple of assists and a put out.
And a flawless 6th inning for Zamaya. Front 4-2 as we go to the 7th inning. And if you're just joining us, here's the Verizon Wireless game summary. Zach Greinke goes 6 innings, gives up a couple of runs, one of them unearned. Betancourt hit a 2-run home run in the 2nd inning off of Justin Verlander. And then Billy Butler with 2 outs, driving in 2 in the 5th. So Verlander only going 5 and giving up 4 runs. And now Greinke is done. So the Royals turn it over to the bullpen in the 7th inning. And here's a guy that we were all talking about in spring training as far as someone who really stood out and made a statement, Roman Colon.
Well, you know, he came in last year, Ryan, and pitched some big innings for the Royals in the middle innings also. But the thing about him that I like is that he comes in and he throws strikes, and he doesn't give up a lot of fly balls, and that's what's good, having him in this role in the 7th inning right now.
Did so well in spring training. I thought he'd be a candidate for the 8th inning. We get to him an inning earlier here. Came over in a deal from Detroit, so he goes against his former mates. Of course, he's done that before. That trade was in July of '07.
I remember seeing a fan poll, I believe it was in your game on Tuesday, on Friday night. I think it was like you call it, and it said, who would you like to be the closer? And it was, and I think,
or the setup man.
The setup guy was, and then he was like the 7th inning guy, and Robinson Tejeda was the guy that the fans voted for as being the guy that they'd like to see be the setup guy.
Well, it appears that the fans are going to get what they want. If Colon is pitching the 7th, there's Tejeda, perhaps loosening up for the 8th alongside John Parrish, who might be asked to pitch to Johnny Damon if it gets that far. Damon would be the 4th batter in the inning.
Ball took off. Previous pitch, a slider well outside, then the high fastball. This is not the start you wanted in this inning.
And now the Tigers are going to send a left-hand batter up there. So see if Parrish comes on to face Santiago or if Colon stays in there. But Santiago batting for Adam Everett, who singled and struck out. Trey Hillman will stay with Colon. Trey Hillman talked often about Colon's spring and more depth to his slider. What does that mean?
Means more bite to it, not just side to side, but more downward trajectory. Downward break, tougher for the hitter to pick up. Bob McClure also talks about him not being a guy who can move the ball in and out as much as change the eye level, pitch upstairs with the fastball because of velocity, and then back down to the knees of both the fastball and the slider that you're talking about, Ryan. Key is to be a power arm that gives you the opportunity to elevate without getting hurt.
That's when you get the strikeout, and then when you get the pop-up, the weak fly ball, because hitters aren't able to get on top of it because it has that little hop right at the top of the strike zone.
Very close.
And that's something they worked hard on in spring training. Pitchers holding base runners, quicker moves to first, almost paid off there.
Well, Paul, I tell you, you can see the quick feet on this move here. And he's like, if you don't work on it, you don't improve on it. And that was an excellent move by Roman Colon right there. But, you know, this spring for the Royals, period, I mean, the attention they paid to detail, the attention they paid to fundamentals, more than any spring that I've seen here. And the guys really, when they realized that manager Trey Hillman made it important to him, then it became important to the players also.
That was the one thing I wanted to hear coming out of spring training more than anything else. Because the talent level, you know, whatever it is, I mean, it's not as good as most of the clubs around, but it's not good enough that they're going to be able to overcome any kind of shoddy play. Defensively, on the bases, not moving base runners, things that we saw last year and really the year before that. not going to be able to overcome that. So you got to do those other things. You kind of find a way to keep in the game.
Well, they had this drill called 27 outs, and they put all the players in a position. You call out different plays, bunt plays, whatever it might be, and they have to get 27 consecutive outs before they can stop. So if they can get to 18, 19, 20, you make an error, you go all the way back to 1. So that puts a little bit more urgency in it, and for the players, and it makes them a little more accountable to make the plays.
It appears that Cologne would have somewhat of an advantage right now, although he could lose that soon as the shadows are just about past the mound. Santiago into left center field. Posednik on it quickly. Sizemore going to third, but Posednik in a 2-run game makes the good play and keeps the double play in order.
That's the type of hitter that Santiago is. He just puts a bat on the ball, sprays it all over the field. Right there, you pitch him away. Not a bad pitch right there to the outside part, but just shoot it over the shortstop's head. Didn't hit it all that hard, but pretty effective. And on first and third, still nobody out for Detroit.
Well, the Royals are hoping that Cologne can give the Royals the 7th, but Tejeda is going to come on with 2 on, nobody out. Off day tomorrow. Royals and Tigers again on Wednesday night. Luke Hochevar for the Royals and Max Scherzer, the former MU Tiger, for Detroit. Coverage begins at 6:30. First pitch at 7:10. And it's an HD brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. So Roman Cologne gets the 7th, allows a walk and a single, and now Robinson Tejeda, who was so tough last year against right-hand batters, takes over with the rookie Austin Jackson at the plate. Right-hand batters last year hit 125 against Tejeda, and at one point they were 0 for 43.
This is all about the strikeout right here. Best strikeout guy in the bullpen for the Royals is right here, Robinson Tejeda. Now, the offset to it is the ability to throw strikes, or maybe the inability, so got to have it in the zone. But as they say, he misses more bats than anybody else on the staff.
Yeah, strikeout pop-up, that's what you got to have.
And the key out right here is that first one. You get the first one right now, then you can think about getting out of the inning.
I definitely agree with that. Number one hitter, you ever come with the bases loaded and no outs, you say, if I can get this first guy out, then I get a double play out of the inning. But that first guy gets a base hit, and that changes the whole inning.
Yeah, the other thing we can't forget, remember, it's opening day for these guys, too. So while everybody else has been out there for 5 or 6 innings, they're just not getting the middle of the diamond. So they have the butterflies the other guys dealt with a couple hours ago.
Good call.
Yeah, but we don't care about their butterflies. That is the first big league hit for Austin Jackson. He's going to drive in one. Santiago will be held at third base. So the rookie comes through, makes it a one-run game, and there's still nobody out.
Well, the thing you hate about this is the ROYALS starts with the number 8 and number 9 hitter. You'd love to be able to get those guys out, and now you got a rookie getting his first major league hit. So big day for him, and he's got his club right back in the ballgame.
Well, you're right, Paul. Getting those bottom of the order hitters out, it's really imperative. But, you know, in this DH system, those guys are pretty good hitters, too. And so you really got to focus just as hard on those guys as you do on the 1 and 2 guys. But I think right now it's just about making pitches, you know, just hitting the spots. And like you say, they're coming out for the first time and in a pressure situation, and it does make a big difference.
Well, there were so many things that needed to be improved in spring training this year, and there were roles that were wide open, especially in the bullpen, trying to get the ball to Joaquin Soria, and that was a challenge last year. The Royals bullpen had the highest ERA in the American League at over 5, and they allowed the second most walks.
You take Soria's earned run average out of that, and that team ERA out of the pen is 5.37. So quite a bit higher than the 5.02 right there. That's with Soria.
Damon into right field, and the Tigers are going to take the lead. Still nobody out. And the crowd here today has experienced an array of emotions. They've been cheering loudly for Zach Greinke. They've been cheering loudly for Unievsky, Betancourt, and Billy Butler. And now some boos coming down on the bullpen.
Important thing right now is to stop bleeding. Got to find a way to get him out. So it's not Trey Hillman that's going to the mound. It's Bob McClure, the pitching coach. There's your pitch location. Frank right there, about belt high, outer half of the plate. Johnny Damon loves to drop the head on it. Keep the ball out of the air, hit a low line drive. He's got 2 RBIs.
Yeah, it was a changeup, Paul, and their changeups don't go down and away from those lefties or turn over, and they ride high in the zone. And the guy with a swing like Damon will stay there and put that ball in play hard. But if you stop the bleeding right here, they're still in the ball game, and they got a chance to come back and win this ball game.
Ordonez has had a good game with a double and a run scored in the first. He has also singled.
See, I'd be concerned about him right now in the long ball. The wind is still blowing out the left field. Since he won the batting title last year or so, everything went to right field. But I understand now he's trying to start to turn on the ball a little bit better. He had a good swing right there. Off balance on the off-speed pitch there. That ball reached the seats in foul territory. But he all of a sudden is looking to try to drive the ball again like he did when he first came up.
Well, he went through an all-season training program to get in a little bit better shape. He says he's eating healthier, and he feels great. And like I say, but Magdale's power, if you even go back to the White Sox, he had a lot of power in the right center field.
Well, Tejeda gets the first out of the inning, striking out Ordonez.
Now this is a good fastball down and onto the outer half, and that's a good zone for Robert Tejeda. I mean, when he's down there, you know, he's almost unhittable.
It's like Jason Kendall was standing up like he wanted the ball up around the eyes to try to get the strike out there.
Well, I think what you're looking at, Paul, is that, and what we've seen pretty much all day is pitchers just haven't been in that location zone that they want to be in. It's not quite as sharp as they want to be.
Cabrera driving in 103 last year, got his first in the 6th inning today. Has Damon at second base with 1 out. Tigers have scored 3 in this inning. and they've scored 4 in the last 2. Royals at one point had a 4-1 lead. Still 0-2. Roman Colon started the inning after Zach Greinke gave up 2 in 6 innings, so Zach could not win it. And then Tejeda with 2 on, nobody out, giving up a pair of doubles before the strikeout against Ordonez. So the first 4 have reached for the Tigers, 3 have scored. Still 0-2. You remember last year Tejeda finished the season in the rotation and pitched very well and had the Royals thinking about 2010 as a starter. It didn't quite work out in spring training, but knowing that if it didn't work out in the rotation, he could just slide right back into the bullpen.
Well, he was one of those guys, Ryan, that could come out and throw 3 innings for you. Before Soria went out with an injury last year, that's what he did. If the starters came out early in the game, he was the guy that the Royals went to. And I remember you made the statement one time that they Royals have 2 closers in the game because he was really shutting them down. And when Soria got hurt, it just kind of changed the rotation down there altogether.
Sometimes taking a guy who has been a reliever and getting him into the starting rotation forces him to throw strikes because he knows he needs to go 5 innings to qualify for a win, so he cannot elevate that pitch total. You do that best by throwing strikes.
It's going to be a 4-run 7th inning as Cabrera drives in his second. The Tigers lead by 2. And now Trey Hillman will bring on Juan Cruz to face Carlos Guillen. Performance this year. Trey Hillman turned it over to the guys that were getting the job done with the lead in the 7th inning. The Tigers have scored 4, and now since Zach Greinke is left after the 6th, Trey is already using his 3rd reliever.
That's not what you wanted. You came into the ball game leading 9 outs. Go with your top guys. You know that Soria has the final 3, so you got to find a way to get the ball to him. But now after 6 hitters, there's been only 1 retired. So not what you wanted here this afternoon. But still time left for the Royals. 3 at-bats left. Now it's going to be a high-scoring game if they're going to win it.
Yeah, basically just got to keep it where it's at. You know, if you can stop the bleeding and give your offense a chance to come back, then that's going to be good for them. They put them in pretty good position. They can keep the 2 runs where it is right now.
Carlos Guillen is singled. He has reached on an error. That was back in the 1st inning, which led to an unearned run. Cabrera has driven in one of the 4 runs in this inning, and he has 2 RBIs today. Shallow right center field, the wind knocking it down, and it drops in front of Ankiel. So 7 have come to the plate and 6 have reached.
Five of those have reached on base hits, but you want to wonder what the impact of that walk was to open the inning. You know, you don't get anything going until you get a start, and you got to force your opponent to create that start himself instead of giving it to him.
Well, when you're in a game with 2 pitchers that are really locked tight like that, when you think the score is going to be low, you always look for that opportunity to either be a walk or a base hit or a hit batter or whatever it might be. And in this case, the walk kind of got it started for the Tigers.
Brandon Inge, going 0 for 3, has grounded into a double play in the 4th inning. Runners take off, and Inge drives it into right center. And this is going to be a huge inning for the Tigers. 6 in. So down by 2 coming into the inning. Now the Tigers lead by 4.
Brandon Inge got off a great start last year, homered in each of the first 3 ball games against Toronto. Had a tough second half, knee problems, surgery on both knees at the end of the year. Big base hit right here to blow this one wide open.
Yeah, Cruz just left that right in the middle of the plate split, and Inge usually pulls the ball. Very rarely you see him hit the ball that direction, so he stayed on that ball real well.
Big swing from Gerald Laird, who's the 9th man to come up. Disappointing season for Cruz last year, which included some time on the disabled list in August, problems with his right shoulder. And a year ago, the Royals thought they were in very good shape in the bullpen, adding Kyle Farnsworth and Juan Cruz. They got Cruz late, signing him late in spring training. But now it appears that neither Cruz nor Farnsworth are going to be involved in late inning situations with the Royals in front. And that's what we talked about earlier. Laird, the catcher, will lay one down. It's 0-2. At least try to lay one down.
We saw 2 different bullpens out of the Royals a year ago. The first 5 weeks, they didn't give up anything. And then once Story went down with the injury and guys started getting kicked around a little bit, then all of a sudden the ERA ballooned. The record headed south. And as you mentioned, their ERA as far as the relievers is a little bit better than 5 points, but there for the first 5 weeks. If there was a lead in the 7th inning, that ball game was over.
Well, definitely.
How bad did the Royals miss Joakim Soria when he was on the disabled list? In 39 games, May the 8th until June the 21st, and that includes some games that Joakim just was not available. The Royals had 1 save. 1 save from May the 8th until June the 21st.
I like your new book.
That's a brand new,
I know,
Big Blue Book of Knowledge. Well, the Tigers with a couple of rookies in there today who had never played in a regular season big league game. Austin Jackson in this inning collected his first major league hit, and now Scott Sizemore trying to do the same thing. He walked to lead off this 6-run rally and scored. Blocked again by Kendall, and he has already shown his value several times today. Zach Greinke gave up 1 earned run in 6 innings. And the Royals bullpen have given up 6 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning. ironically, the bullpen ends up striking out the side. The Tigers strike for 6. Top of the 7th inning. 7th inning stretch with a sellout crowd watching, and Ramon Santiago, who pinch hit for Adam Everett and singled and scored, stays in at shortstop. Joel Zamaya took over in the 6th for Justin Verlander, who's off the hook, and from one guy throwing 100 miles an hour to another. Zamaya got the Royals 1-2-3 in the 6th inning. He'll get Kendall, Getz, and to Jesus in the 7th. The Tigers have their bullpen issues as well. Fernando Rodney is no longer with the Tigers. Jose Valverde is their new closer, and a couple of key guys beginning the season on the disabled list. Their lefty setup man Bobby C. and Zach Miner, who's always pitched well against the Royals, and especially here at Kauffman Stadium. They are both out. So the Tigers have some question marks in the latter innings of the game.
They're hoping to address that with the likes of Joel Zamaya, also Ryan Perry, an outstanding young arm, only 23 years old, closer potential, but a little bit inconsistent. They have some talent down there.
Perry's got a big arm.
Yes, he does.
He's up there with Verlander with his fastball, and he can get it up there. Because Zamaya's had some arm problems the last couple of years, which has really kind of hurt him a little bit. And, you know, he was up there 98, 99 consistently also before his injuries.
He got hurt in this ballpark, down warming up. I think it was a finger injury, wasn't it? Tendonitis or something.
Ended up having surgery on the finger. Kendall will reach as the throw gets past Cabrera. So Kendall 1 for 3 with Chris Getz coming up, and they were the subject of today's You Call It. Tonight, by the way, is a combination of today and tonight at the same time. That's what that word was. Which newcomer will help the most? Very close. Ankiel and Getz at 28%, followed by Posednik and Jason Kendall at 17%. Thank you for voting today. Phil Koch coming over from the Yankees will take over. It was a single, huh?
Yeah.
Now Panera takes us around the American League. Mark Burley right now is a team record for opening day starts for the White Sox. Part of a shutout. Texas beating Toronto. Jared Saltalamacchia with a game-winning RBI in the bottom of the ninth. Walk-off win. Twins at the Angels later tonight. This is Phil Koch coming out of the Tiger bullpen, coming over with Austin Jackson from the Yankees during that trade during the offseason.
The opponent's batting average 209. Held lefties to less than a 200 average. 72 appearances with the Yankees. That's a lot of business out of the pen. Primarily a two-pitch guy, fastball, slider.
Chris Getz with his first hit as a Royal in the fifth, his first stolen base, and coming around to score on Billy Butler's 2-out 2-run hit. That put the Royals in front 4-1. Right on the bag, but just foul. So inches away from a double play. Instead, it's 1-2 on Getz. That was a 3-team trade, and the Arizona Diamondbacks were also involved, and they ended up getting Edwin Jackson from the Tigers. Some pretty big names were shuffled around in that deal. Gets past third and up the line. So 2 on, nobody out.
The surprising part of that trade to me was the Edwin Jackson part of it. He was traded the year before from Tampa Bay to Detroit after a big year, and I thought, man, it looks like he was finally found himself. So apparently Tampa Bay thought, well, that was a fluke. That's probably his peak market value. Comes has a good year with Detroit, and they move him again. You know, I would expect him to have a solid year in Arizona.
He's got a great arm.
But Brandon Webb comes back, Dan Marin, Brandon Webb, and Edwin Jackson.
Chris Getz did a good piece of hitting right there, Ryan. He just didn't try to do anything with that pitch, but hit it where it was pitched and got it by inch down the line there at third base. Now the Royals have an opportunity now to chip away a little bit. Still got plenty of time to come back. Just make something happen this inning.
David DeJesus with 2 hits and a stolen base. And for a while, looked like the Royals, this was early in spring training, might go with Scott Podsednik leading off, Chris Getz batting second, and David DeJesus hitting third. So 3 straight lefties. So this looks like the perfect move for Jim Leyland, but at least for DeJesus and Podsednik, they have pretty good track records against left-hand pitching, so you're really not taking a whole lot away from them.
Well, I don't think so, David. He stands in there as good as any left-handed hitter against left-handed pitchers. And you saw Chris Getz right there. Ball inside, he can drop the head on the ball down into knee-high to the middle end, and ball out over the plate. He just slaps it to the right, to the left side. So.
And David has a pretty good track record for RBIs out of the leadoff spot. Stays with his setup. Doesn't change a whole lot. Now, he hadn't had luck as a number 3 hitter, driving in runs, but out of the leadoff spot, he'll surprise you with his totals.
Last year driving in 71.
73 the year before that. And that's your leadoff hitter?
That's pretty good.
I mean, that's up in the Mark Sheehan area. Wasn't Sheehan around 70 RBIs a year? And he was hitting, what, 5th?
In on the hands. Infield fly rule. They call it, even though it's in foul territory. So David 2 out of 4, and now Podsednik. I guess you have to call the infield fly rule no matter where the ball is today with the wind. It might start off in foul territory, but before you know it, might be in between the lines. A little bit inside. Podsednik trying to set up a run in the first inning, laying down a sacrifice bunt. Otherwise, he is struck out and walked. 2-0.
Frank, when you get this late in the ball game, down by 4, you feel like you have to get something in every inning.
Every inning, Paul, and especially when you get the first 2 guys out, nobody out. You at least want to chip away, get a couple in this inning and give yourself a chance in the next 2 innings. But the key is to make sure that your guys hold them where they are.
Two and one.
I'm really impressed with Sednick, Getz, and David. How they really just hang in there against lefty. They don't give any ground. Either there's no deception or they seeing the ball real well, but they're not giving an inch to the lefty. I mean, they're right there seeing the ball and staying tight, staying together, and they get their pitch. They can square it up pretty good.
And even though that shadow isn't in the middle of the infield, this isn't the best hitting situation because they are in the shadows, and the backdrop is in sunlight.
Kendall got a great break. Jackson has a good arm and throws him out. Kendall read that very well. He didn't hesitate at all. He knew that ball was going to drop. So Jackson's had quite an inning. In the top half, his first major league hit, first major league RBI. Now in the bottom half, throws out a runner at the plate.
Well, Jim Leland, when he had him in spring training, he knew he was ready to play at this level defensively in center field. Had no qualms about that. He was hoping he'd be a leadoff man. Well, now we see the defense and what it's all about.
Well, when you have that closing speed like he has, Paul, they can get on those balls a lot faster with his kind of speed, and that'll actually put him closer to the infield. See how close he was to the infield when he let that ball go, and really he got a great kick off the mound. When the ball hit the mound, it really picked up speed.
Looks like it hit the backside of the mound and popped up a little bit. He powered it through there. And I thought he looked up at the base runner to see if he was rounding third base as he charged that ball. That was an impressive play.
Wow, that's an impressive look right there.
Ryan Perry in for the Tigers. Billy Butler takes ball one from Ryan Perry, who appeared in 53 games last year. That was 1 year after being drafted in the first round by the Tigers out of the University of Arizona, holding the league to a .246 average. He gets Billy Butler with 2 on, 2 out. And with the runner thrown out at the plate, that means that the potential tying run is in the on-deck circle in Rick Ankiel. Gets at second base with a single. Sednick at first with a single. The Royals have 3 hits in the inning. 2 balls, 1 strike. With 2 on, nobody out in the 5th inning, the Royals had 4 straight reach, including Billy Butler, who drove in 2. And at that point, the Royals had a 4-1 lead with Zach Greinke still in the game. Zach gave up a run in the 6th, and the Royals led 4-2 going into the 7th. The win will make this a tough play for Cabrera. but he's able to handle it. So 3 hits, no runs for Casey in the bottom of the 7th. Split, thank you. We'll see you in the postgame.
We need a rally so we can talk about a winner afterwards.
A 6-run 7th inning for Detroit. The Royals led 4-2 at that point. Ramon Santiago will lead off in the top of the 8th against Juan Cruz, and the Royals used 3 relievers in that 6-run 7th. Zach Greinke gave up 2 runs in 6 innings, with the Tigers getting 6 against Colon, Tejeda, and Cruz, who stays in for the 8th. Santiago singled and scored in that inning as a pinch hitter for Adam Everett. 1 down. You can follow the Royals on your iPhone, iPod Touch, BlackBerry, and Android phone with MLB.com's At Bat 2010, featuring play-by-play, video highlights, and live audio broadcast. Visit Royals.com today on your iPhone, iPod Touch, Android, or BlackBerry for more details. Well, Austin Jackson, and we've heard that he just has oceans of talent and showing it off in his first major league game after going 0 for 3 in his first 2 at-bats. He had quite a 7th inning, coming up with a double for his first major league hit, driving in a run, scoring a run, and then throwing a runner out at the plate in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, he had that closing speed on the hit by Pasetnik and made a strong throw to the plate. And the ball, even though it hit off the back of the mound, it still had a lot of velocity when it got to the plate to get Kendall in that situation. So for a rookie to be able to come in and charge the ball and play aggressively like that, that speaks to his maturity and confidence.
He's ahead 3 balls, 1 strike. Full count. Not only did the Tigers lose their center fielder and their second baseman and replace them with rookies, but that was also the Tigers' number 1 and number 2 hitters. It really set the stage for Miguel Cabrera and Carlos Guillen and Maglio Ordonez. Jackson takes a strike. Cruz with his 3rd strikeout.
So Juan's really mixing in his fastball and his slider very well. And this ball just sort of tailed in on his fastball. He had a lower 3/4. See where it runs right back in on Jackson, right on the inside corner.
Cruz is out. John Parrish on to face Johnny Damon. The big inning, Tigers 6-run 7th inning, but one thing that Trey Hillman is accomplishing today is he's getting a lot of guys in there so they get that first game out of the way. And here's John Parrish, who is trying to come back from his second major arm surgery. 4 years ago, he had the Tommy John surgery on his elbow, the ligament replacement surgery, and then last year had surgery on his shoulder, which caused him to miss the entire season.
Being a player, you miss the whole season. You always be a little apprehensive when you go into that following season, but to come in and make a team out of spring training, that's got to be a special feeling.
Johnny Damon, who doesn't quite look right yet in a Tigers uniform, has driven into, and he has scored twice in his first game as a Tiger.
I just think the one thing he brings to their ball club is just a different attitude. He brings a winning attitude, and the Tigers, even though they've been a very competitive team, well, Johnny's he's got the rings to back it up, and I think he's a perfect guy to be playing next to Jackson in center field, and he's a perfect guy to learn from.
You know, even going back to his days with the Royals, and the Royals didn't win a lot when he was here. The Royals had big-time bullpen problems, but the Royals really played the right way. I mean, they hustled, they played good defense. Of course, they have, very good players at almost every position. Fundamentally sound on offense, and Johnny was right in the middle of that.
Yeah, really the only knock you ever had on Johnny was just inability to throw, and the thing that he learned early by playing left field is that you charge the ball hard enough that that's going to put you a little bit closer to home plate and make sure it's just that much better. That really helped him, and he just made himself not only a very good ball player, but he's played in some big ball games in some big series, and he's had a great career.
Chris Getz throws him out. The Tigers are scoreless in the 8th. Royals Live with Joel Goldberg and Paul Splittorff from Rivals Sports Bar out in right field. Opening day highlights. We'll have interviews, check other games in the American League, and the dirty play of the game coming up with Joel and Split. Here's the studio, and Rivals, just like the rest of Kauffman Stadium, filled up today. Ryan Perry got the final out of the bottom of the 7th inning and gets Ankiel, Guillen, and Bloomquist in the 8th. Ankiel 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts. Hit hard to Cabrera. So Ankiel is 0 for 4. One defensive change for the Tigers. Don Kelly is in left field. So Johnny Damon with his 2 hits and 2 driven in is done with the Tigers in front by 4. One out to Jose Guillen. Singled and scored back in the 2nd inning. Tigers got an unearned run in the 1st. Royals a 2-run home run from Betancourt in the 2nd and a 2-run single from Butler in the 5th. So at the end of 5, the Royals had a 4-1 lead. The Tigers with 1 in the 6th and 6 in the 7th inning. Santiago with a long throw gets Guillen. So Perry gets 2 quick outs. Now Perry gets Willie Bloomquist at the plate. 0 for 3 in the field. Committed an error in the 1st inning, but then made an outstanding defensive play in the top of the 6th. That was a 1-run inning against Zach Greinke. Could have been a lot worse if not for the diving play by Bloomquist.
Well, he actually made the last 2 outs of that inning, Ryan. That diving play and then another play across the line, and another force out at third. So 2 force outs at third base in the same inning.
0-2. Willie last year played hurt, and at the end of the season had surgery on both of his knees. And early in spring training, Trey Hillman was very careful with how much he played Bloomquist in the field. And early on, Willie was playing mostly in the outfield. If he was going to do some standing around on defense, he was going to do it on the grass. Royals down quickly against Perry. Are going to send Kyle Farnsworth to the mound. He becomes the 6th Royals pitcher today. And Farnsworth went into spring training with a chance to win a spot in the starting rotation. That didn't quite work out. But what the Royals may have discovered is that Farnsworth is a better pitcher. Maybe doesn't throw as hard, but he's a better pitcher when he stretches himself out. And might have found himself a role, at least in some situations, as a long reliever. So if a starter comes out early, Farnsworth could be in to give the Royals 3 or 4 innings. And if something were to happen to someone in the starting rotation, Farnsworth might be the guy that would move into the rotation.
Well, what Bob McCourt wanted to do with him is just get him off the hard fastball, hard slider, and give him another pitch or 2. And he went with the slower curveball, and they also gave him a cutter. And those 2 pitches, along with his fastball and slider, just give him a little change of pace, rather than just being all hard with everything.
Well, there you go right there. One pitch, ground ball to short. So Magli Ordonez, 2 out of 5, and now Miguel Cabrera has 2 RBIs, a couple of singles, and he's reached with a walk. Farnsworth was competing with Kyle Davies, who eventually won the 5th spot, and Robinson Tejeda. And it appears, at least right now, that the primary setup man for Joaquim Soria will be Robinson Tejeda. There's Kyle Davies. Davies didn't get off to a very good start in spring training, but finished strong when the Royals needed him to and won the spot.
And that's kind of what you want to do. You always kind of start slow in spring training because you're trying to feel your way. You're working on some different things, but to be able to finish with his last 3 outings strong, that really put him in that position to be the 5th start.
Davies will pitch for the first time on Friday. That'll be game 1 with the Boston Red Sox. Tomorrow, or rather Wednesday, it's Luke Hochevar and Max Scherzer. And then on Thursday afternoon, Brian Bannister and Dontrell Willis. There's Banny. And there's Luke. And there's Carlos Guillen grounding out to Butler, and Farnsworth has a quick 1-2-3 ninth. Royals down by 4. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Royals 4-2 lead into an 8-4 shortcoming, and now Jose Valverde in a non-save situation. Jim Leyland, like Trey Hillman, trying to get as many guys in there. And with a day off tomorrow, everyone has a day to recover before Wednesday night. Valverde with 25 saves with the Astros last year. He was on the disabled list with a bad right calf, but in 2008 and 2007 he led the National League in saves. Fernando Rodney now with the Angels as the setup man for their closer Brian Fuentes. Yuniesky, Betancourt, Jason Kendall, and Chris Getz coming up in the 9th. Betancourt, in his first plate appearance in the 2nd inning, had an outstanding at bat. He was down against Verlander 1-2 very early, and then hung in there to foul off 4 pitches, ran the count full, and then homered to left center field to put the Royals in front 2-1. Otherwise, Betancourt is fouled out and struck out 1 for 3. Oh, 2.
Valverde's got the interesting finish. You know, he wants to let it go, and he stays there and watches it, but he has a just interesting finish to his windup.
He was the guy in the National League that all the other teams wanted to beat in the 9th inning, as he celebrates quite a bit after getting outs and closing out games. Here's that finish Frank was talking about.
He's got a couple different ones. Like you say, on a strikeout, he's probably a little more showman on the strikeout, but.
Hit hard to Inge. Almost took off his right leg and throws out Betancourt. And Valverde, even with a 4-run lead, is pumped up in the bottom of the 9th.
And we'll take a look at the out. I mean, I can't explain all that. I mean.
Well, it was that little blade of grass over there was bent just so, which allowed Brandon Inge to make that play at third base. So, you know, goes over and thanks that blade of grass.
You know, get back to Betancourt a little bit. Today, what he's shown us today is that his bat speed is there. He can turn on a good fastball. I mean, he had two rockets, one for a home run and then one at Inge right there.
Jason Kendall 1 for 3. Infield single, then was thrown out at the plate in the bottom of the 7th inning. And he's had an excellent day blocking balls in the dirt. Three and 0. Tigers got 5 innings from Verlander. The Royals scored 4 against Verlander. But then Zamaya, Koch, and Perry with 3 scoreless innings. Three and 1. Valverde with 47 saves with the Arizona Diamondbacks in 07. But the Diamondbacks traded him away even though he led the league. So he went over to the Astros in 08 and led the league with them with 44 saves. Kendall takes a walk. So 1 on, 1 out. That's only the 2nd walk given up by a Tigers pitcher today. Brings up Chris Getz, who's had a very good Royals debut. He's been flawless in the field today, and at the plate, 2 hits, a stolen base, and a run scored.
I think anytime you come over in a trade to another ball club and you get off to a good start the first day, that's always a good feeling as a hitter.
Getz last year played in 107 games with the White Sox, and for a while played with a broken right middle finger. Also had an oblique injury which turned out to be a hernia. Cabrera had a difficult time getting out of his glove, and then it pops out of Santiago's glove. That's a tough scoring decision there because there was nothing easy about that play at all.
I mean, he made a great stop to his right there, Ryan, and he did the right thing going to second base. The only thing right here is once he didn't get the grip right there, he may have wanted to switch up and go back to first base and get the easy out. But he did get the throw there, but he had to go across the runner, and Santiago may have lost the ball just for a split second, and that might have cost him the drop.
They're going to charge Santiago with an error. I was just going to say that looks like a play that, you know, the shortstop dropped the ball, but as you said, that's more difficult on Santiago than it looks.
Well, if the ball went behind the runner, then it came out again. So you always want to keep the throw on the same side that the fielder's on. And Kendall probably blinded Santiago a little bit when he went into second base.
So 2 on with 1 out. David DeJesus has 2 hits today. Laird calling for time. There's a hot dog wrapper that was blowing around above Valverde. The wind has been strong since the very beginning of the game. Oh, and 1 to DeJesus. David has faced Valverde 3 times, and he has 2 hits.
Well, a hit right now would be really huge for the Royals. That'll get him, put him in a position to really do some damage here this inning.
1 and 1. The crowd is thinned out quite a bit, especially after the Tigers' 6-run 7th inning, but 40,052 here to watch the Royals and the Tigers and the beginning of the 2010 season in Kansas City. On a windy but a beautiful day, 73 degrees at first pitch, and you can't ask for more than that on April the 5th. Unless you're in Florida.
We could probably take a whole summer like this. Well, Fox Tracks gives us another look at this pitch, and it's right on the outside corner, and that's a ball out, just almost a ball out, so good call by the umpire.
David up the right field line and foul. There is a parallax. I don't know what that word means, but I've heard it used before. And what that means is that the cameras directly behind home plate are a bit off center. So sometimes on your screen at home, it looks like the pitch is a strike, but that's because of the angle. So that's where Fox Tracks comes in, because so often we'll look at that and people at home will say, man, that's a strike. Where is that? Well, because of the angle of the camera, sometimes it's not actually in the strike zone.
Well, that's true, and the good thing is those sidebars stay the same, and they don't float around, and I think you get a better read that way.
With 1 out, Kendall walked, Getz reached on an error. Both teams with 1 error. The Tigers turned the Royals error into a run in the first inning. Now let's see what the Royals will do with the Tigers error. Royals need 1 more base runner for a chance. In the dirt, rolls away from Laird, but it rolls closer to the target if Kendall had tried to advance to third.
Yeah, if the ball had a bounce toward the first baseline, Jason would have had a chance to get over to third. But right now, you want to make sure you get to the next base before you make that attempt.
Valverde double checking the count with home plate umpire Ed Rapuano. Back to Valverde. He goes to first, which he can do in a 4-run game. Maybe that's something you can put on the scouting report. Maybe Valverde doesn't feel very comfortable about throwing down to second base unless he lost track of the outs.
Well, that would be your first guess, is not knowing the outs. Right now, you know, he could be out of the inning if he just turns and just throws the ball to Santiago at shortstop.
He looked to second base. Took a peek over his left shoulder on his way to first. Posednik 1 for 2.
Maybe when he turned around to look at him, the ball got to him so fast, Santiago not going to be right at the base. So that's why they always teach the pitchers once they make that catch like that to take a throw hop. and that'll give the infield a chance to get there. So maybe when he looked around that fast and didn't see him, he opted to just go to first base.
Two and 0. Well, this is obviously a key hitter because the Royals can't do anything unless they get one more base runner. And if Posednik reaches, that's who comes up.
And you always want to end the game with your best hitter at the plate, and that, if you can do that, then you've done all you could to win that game that day.
Three and 0.
Well, Valverde's been a little erratic with his strike zone, but here he goes right in on the inside corner, and Foxtrack confirms that was a strike. And that points to Posednik. Really, he's taken all the way in that situation.
Three and 1. And I'm guessing Posednik might even take another strike.
You know, I don't think it's a bad thing to do right here, Ryan. Valverde's been a little erratic, and you want to get, you hit a home run now, it doesn't make that big a difference. But if you can get on base and bring Billy to the plate, sure. I would take another one right here for sure.
Three and 2.
And one thing Valverde's been able to do, right, he's been able to stay out of the middle of the plate. He's working the outside corner, inside corner, and that ball has some good movement on it. So you can tell he's got a live arm and a live fastball. Ball's moving a lot.
To the right side, Cabrera fields to Valverde. Close, but out to end the game. So less than a foot away from Billy Butler getting a chance to tie it in the bottom of the ninth.
Well, Cabrera's made these plays consistently all night today. He's done a good job going to his right and filling that play. He did a good job with his balance. And